Hello my friends, today we're gonna make a frickin' hard bass house drop similar to VLUARR in FL Studio 20. Alright guys, we'll start by making some mysterious chords. Then let's make a nice melody on top. Now that we have the melody in place, we can begin on making the drop. We're gonna begin by making a fat bass line, and then we're gonna build the rest of the drop with the bass line as the foundation. The bass line and the lead will have the exact same rhythm. We're gonna add some more bass layers to make it fatter. I also added an additional white noise layer playing the bass line, which makes the bass a bit bigger. Guys, now that we have a nice sounding bass line, we're gonna add some mixing effects to make it a lot more powerful. We'll start by mixing the mid bass. I started with an EQ to shape the sound. Then I added compression using OTT, another EQ to remove some harsh high frequencies created by the OTT, distortion and compression using Camel Crusher EQ, a soundedizer to add a bit more power, and a final EQ. This, my friends, is what the mid bass sounds like without the mixing effects. And this is with. Now we'll quickly mix the sub bass. We're gonna take it from this to this. In order to do that, we're gonna add distortion with fruity fast dist, compression with OTT, a soundedizer for some more power, and an EQ removing the highs. Guys, to add some more energy to the bass, I added a distorted ride following the rhythm of the bass line. This is what the bass sounds like without the ride. And this is with. We're also gonna add this reverse white noise effect. It consists of an LFO white noise layer in Serum, which is controlled by this volume automation. Now that we have a nice and powerful bass line, we can begin on expanding the drop. The first thing we'll do is to add some drums and effects that complement the bass line. The goal of the drums and effects is to add groove and make the bass sound a lot more powerful. If we have a tight drum beat and bass line as a foundation, it will be very easy to make a good lead on top. Alright my friends, we'll begin by adding some drum elements. Now we're gonna add a few stabs to add more power and energy to the bass. Now lastly, we're gonna add some nice sound effects and ear candy to make the drop more exciting. This is what the drum beat and bass line sounds like together, guys. I think that's a quite solid foundation. Now guys and gals, we can finally make a cool lead. But first, I would truly appreciate it if you subscribed and turned on post notifications. Guys, a lot of the power in the drop comes from the bass and drums, so our main goal with the lead won't be to add a lot of power. Instead, we can play around with some cool sounds and try to make a really unique sounding lead. When we have a strong foundation like this, it will be hard to mess up the mix with the lead, even if we add some weird sounds. We'll begin with a Serum layer playing the lead melody. Now let's add a few more layers to make the lead more full. Guys, now we're gonna mix the lead. We wanna make it as powerful and punchy as possible. The bass and drums hit very hard, so we have to push the lead quite hard for it to fit in the mix. As usual, we'll begin with an EQ to shape the sound. After that, we're gonna add a lot of compression using OTT, then another EQ to lower the ugly high frequencies created by the OTT, distortion and compression using Camel Crusher, EQ, a sound dizer for some more power, and a final EQ to add some finishing touches. I also added this fruity phaser and took the mix down to about 20%, which adds this cool and weird sound to the lead. And lastly, I added a fruity stereo shaper to make the lead a bit wider. This is what the lead sounds like without the mixing effects. And this is with. Guys, we are also gonna add another very harsh lead layer on top. I added an EQ on that lead layer, boosting these harsh frequencies. The point of that last lead layer is to make the lead a bit more present in the mix. This is what the lead sounds like without that last layer. And this is with. As you can hear, it makes the lead more harsh. Guys, we're also gonna add a reverb and control it using this reverb automation. Now guys, we're gonna add some cool synth shots and stuff to make the lead more energetic and powerful. We'll begin by adding a synth shot that plays the same melody as the lead. Then we'll add another synth shot that plays some of the notes of the lead, as well as this reverse synth shot. After that, we'll add a synth stab that plays the same note as the lead at the beginning of every bar. We're also gonna add an atmosphere shot that plays when the reverb automation goes up to make the reverb a bit bigger. And lastly, we're gonna add a percussion sound to make some of the lead notes hit harder. This, my friends, is what the lead sounds like without all of the extra sounds and effects. And this is with. Nice. Alright guys, that was all of the elements of the drop, but before I show you the final result, I would truly appreciate it if you checked my future house sample pack. Link is in the description. Alright guys, here's the final result. If you liked the video, please be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Love you guys.